Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hello, friends. It's Kristen. I'm here with Angelique Liles. Hi, Angelique.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, so good today. I love your beautiful name.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I
So
was in the second grade before I could spell it.
I know, it's awesome. So tell me a little bit about all of your work around strengths. I mean, we all want to bring our strengths forward and really shine from that place.
Absolutely. So about 3 years ago, I was introduced to Gallup's Clifton Strengths, and it really resonated with me. I kind of connected to that idea that, you should lean into your natural talents and strengths. And so when I left my previous career of 18 years and decided to jump out on my own to start my own coaching practice, that was one of the first things I did was become a certified Gallup strengths coach. And I just love the idea behind it. Don Clifton is credited for saying, what if we studied what was right with people instead of what is wrong with people?
Why do you think it's so important for us to go in the natural flow of our gifts and talents and strengths?
Mm. The best way to answer that is probably with an analogy. I used to want to be a runner. I have friends that are runners. They were great. I felt like maybe I was supposed to be a runner. And I practiced, I tried so hard. I mean, probably for 10 years. And while I got better at it, I was never good at it. And to be honest with you, I never enjoyed it. Like I actually hated it. Kudos to all the runners out there, by the way.
I kind of hate it too.
Oh my gosh. And it was such a grind. And it literally was sucking the life out of my soul, trying to be something that I wasn't designed to be. And so, one day I hopped on a bicycle and in 6 weeks trained for a bicycle race out of Wichita Falls called Hotter Than Hell. It's a 100-kilometer bike race, which is 63 miles, and trained for it and completed it in 6 weeks. And so that idea behind that is, here I had spent all this time and energy and frustration trying to be something I wasn't. What if I would have taken that same, energy capital and invested it into something I was naturally gifted at? How much better would I be?
I I love that analogy. I think that when we do get in that zone where we are
Mhm.
using our gifts, talents, and strengths, there is more of an effortlessness, like you can move faster. It seems to me like a lot of us don't have an awareness of our sweet spot. I mean,
Mm.
how can you know that you're not operating in that strengths zone?
So there's certainly some red flags. If you find that you are frustrated, that you feel just a detachment, right? Where you feel like you're kind of just constantly hitting that wall. And a lot of times it could just be that you need to understand what your strengths are, that you need to just see how do they show up for me. And I think it's really that hamster wheel feeling that people sometimes get is the best way to describe that.
You think you can have one set of strengths at a different time in your life, and then at another time in your life, you have maybe evolved into a new set of
Mm.
strengths? Is it something that is dynamic or is it more fixed?
So, according to Gallup, you can take and retake the assessment
Mhm.
and multiple times, and it's actually pretty close to being the same. So your top 10 strengths will usually always be your top 10. They might be in a different order, but they're typically in your top 10, and your signature strengths are really those top 5. And, I like to call your signature strengths your superpower
Love
because
it.
those are the things that show up without you actually knowing. Those are things that are just going to come easily to you. And people are like, oh, you do that so well. And in the back of your mind, you're almost like minimizing it or trying to marvel,
What?
like, well, that's no big deal. And well, that's because that's your natural talent and strength. And so um, those are kind of your natural superpowers.
So tell me, like, what are some of these strengths? Like, what are they called?
Oh, well, there's 34, according to Gallup. It's anything from connectedness, deliberative, responsibility, belief. There's so many. And really, the reason that they've defined those strengths and those themes is you have characteristics. And each of these themes have some shared characteristics. And I think one of the most important things, according to Gallup, in their guiding principles, is that everything is led with positive intent, and we celebrate our differences. And so, certainly not wanting to put people in a box. I think a lot of times we can find ourselves in those situations, through personality tests and things like that, where all of a sudden you have a big label and you're in a box.
Right. We have
And
a lot of labels in the world today. I mean, we've got labels
yeah,
for everything. So it's like you got your astrology, you got your strengths, you got your, psychologist or psychiatrist diagnosis, you got where you're from. I mean, are you kidding? We're carrying around like an archive.
100%. And so, rather than using it as a label,
Right.
which is not the intent, it's really more of the idea of like, hey, celebrate how amazing you are. Let your team members know these are the areas that I thrive in. Find
Mhm.
out where your team members thrive. And then let's work together and be more productive and more efficient, and certainly have a better team culture.
So I'm curious let's say you're an entrepreneur. So you're this life coach or public
Mhm.
speaker, author, so forth, a cat, right? And you find out what your strengths are. Give me an example of how you then translate that into an action or adding a new dimensionality to your
Mhm.
entrepreneurial journey.
So I guess I'll just use myself as an example, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Because, prior to this, I had spent 18 years in the insurance industry, really just managing performance-based teams. And it's, so funny because now that I've switched and transferred out onto my own practice, it's okay. Like I know that my number one strength is connectedness. My number two strength is developer. And my number three strength is belief. And so figuring out what my core beliefs are and making sure that my actions are in alignment with those core beliefs, and knowing where I can naturally be strong and where I'm going to show up, then that also gives me an idea of who I need to collaborate with to manage those areas that are maybe not my strengths.
Yeah.
And again, going back to that analogy of being a runner, it's okay. It's okay. Not everyone's going to be perfect at everything, but figuring out what I can lean into, what I can maximize, and then who do I need to collaborate with so that I'm really managing those weaknesses rather than constantly trying to fix the weaknesses.
So where can we take this strengths assessment?
You can actually go onto Gallup Clifton Strengths, type in Strengths Finders. You can take the assessment there, and there's a 34 report that I strongly recommend.
Mhm.
And you can actually just really review a lot of things. And then, of course, that's something that I offer with my practice as well, is kind of doing a deep dive into your assessment results.
I love that. So what's next for you?
Oh, I want to continue to grow, continue to find places where I can make an impact. That's kind of my life goal. And I've got some opportunities to do that here in the States, but then also in Kenya, doing some follow-up workshops there, and continue to learn. It's very important to me that I have tools to be able to give to my clients. And so I always have to be in a learning mode as well.
Oh my God, absolutely. Well, where can we find you?
You can find me at Aspire, ASPIRE, Lubbock, LUBBOCK.com. And that's my website for Aspire Professional Development.
Angelique, thank you so much for being on the Big Meow.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.